welcome everybody today for our special ceremony graduating for our veterans going through our program here for Veterans Court. Today is a special day, and also it's a special week because as we know, this is Veterans Week. Yay! All right? Being a veteran as myself, for what I had signed up for is a belief in my country, my people, and what I love to do. And I feel and know that our veterans who are here feel the same way. And it is encouraging where we are today, no matter what, brothers and sisters are united to help each other out. And that's why we're here today. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So once we get started, we are going to do a Pledge of Allegiance, but before we do so, we're going to have our color guard. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being here. And at this time, post.
Post. Post. Present arms. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Face. Forward. March.
And on behalf of the Cuyahoga County Common Police Court and Honorable Judge John Russo, again, we want to thank you for being here for our graduation ceremony from Veterans Treatment Court. Thank you, and let's enjoy the ceremony. Judge?
All right, thank you. So Kenya didn't introduce himself because he's that type of a person, but I'd like to have a warm welcome to our new coordinator, this is really his first opportunity to plan such a wonderful event for graduation. So Kenya Gray's been with the court for a long time and has now, we now have the honor of having him as our coordinator for our Veterans Treatment Court. So congratulations and welcome, and thank you for your service. I feel under the gun a little bit with a little pressure from him, right? He's right on target. So just two things before I introduce our graduates. One is, this program, when it was started, of course, needs funding, and it needs a leader to continue to lead from the court in order to make sure that this specialty docket stays in place. And so I want to thank Judge Sheehan, our administrative presiding judge, who's in the back, and his staff for allowing this court to continuing to stand behind us as well. And so there are some from the administration, Chris Russ, Darren Toms, and Judge Sheehan. We just want to give them a round of applause. Thank you. And then, as it is for all of you who have served our country, you know that it's not an independent, as some would say, an independent sport or an opportunity where you go at it alone, right? So we go at it as a team. You've gone at it as each of you have for the branch of service that you've served for us. So all I want to say is, rather than individually pointing out the Veterans Treatment Court team, I just want to thank them as a whole. And I do that because it's the whole that makes this program successful. And I think all of you who are graduates today understand that. It's what happens outside of the courtroom, but when we gather as a team. And that team is, maybe some of you are tired of me talking about that safety net. That's what we are. The team is a safety net. So without saying individual names, I want to thank our probation officers, our providers, our mentors, all who have played a part in being the team for the Veterans Treatment Court. And so I'll just ask everyone from the team to stand just for acknowledgement for all that you've done for our team as well. All right, thank you. Now, of course, we're here for graduation, and there's always less of us and more of you, so that's important for us. Before we get there, I just want to recognize each of the graduates for a group applause, and then we'll bring them up individually as well. So I'll name each of them and their branch that they served us in, and I'll ask that you stand and just remain standing. So Dwayne Bradley from the Navy. Dwayne. We also have Dwayne Butler from the Army. He is on Zoom, and he's listening to us. So Dwayne, congratulations. Dwayne, I'm expecting as you hear me that you're standing in your house right now. Bruce Elder from the Navy. Ryan Schaefer from the Army. Yes, remain standing. Danielle Sosa from the Navy. Brandon Stewart from the Army. And Frank Visnoff from the Marines. And so how about a round of applause for our graduates? Thank you. All right, you could be seated. So today, why you find us here today at the Bar Association is important for us. One of the things that we've done with the help of both myself and Kenya Gray and the Bar Association is to move forward in the future to have one graduation here every year because of the involvement of the Bar Association and being so important for the Veterans Treatment Court, as well as veterans that are in our court and veterans outside of our court. And so we have forged a relationship, today being the first, so you're here on the annual first graduation here at the CMBA. And we're going to continue to try to strive to do this, again, with the involvement of our administration and Judge Sheehan, to continue to do this on an annual basis on the same week that we celebrate Veterans Day. So we're hoping that we continue to do this every year annually to celebrate Veterans Treatment Court as well as Veterans Day and the Bar Association's involvement with the veterans in Cuyahoga County. And we're going to talk a little bit about that right now with our two guest speakers. And so I want to be able to introduce originally Stephanie Anderson, who joined the Cleveland Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office. And I knew Stephanie when she was in the prosecutor's office, and she was the first prosecutor who worked on our Veterans Treatment Court when it was established with Judge Jackson. She then left us, went over to the Attorney General's office, where she worked for a period of time, and she joined the CMBA's leadership program, and that was, I believe, 2 years ago you graduated, Stephanie, and her team put together a program, as each leadership team does, in order to establish something that will have some mainstay in the community and continue to have mainstay in the community. And so Stephanie had an opportunity to put together something for the Bar Association, something they call the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association Veterans Legal Service Clinic. And Stephanie Anderson will have an opportunity to speak about her involvement in that program. Stephanie is also I believe you served in the, I took a note, I think it's the United States Air Force, correct? And so Stephanie will join us in a moment to speak. She'll then hand over the microphone to Joe Gross. Now, Joe is the past president of the CMBA, of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association. And you said it to me when I came in, and I want to say the Navy, but I'm correct. He served our country in the Navy. He's a partner at a law firm here in Cuyahoga County. He was obviously the bar president and had a big drive in making sure that the opportunity to have the legal service clinic become a reality here at the Bar Association and in Cuyahoga County. So Kenya did an awesome job in asking both of them and having them, well, maybe they didn't agree and he twisted your arm, I'm not quite sure, but they're both here. So a round of applause for Stephanie Anderson and Joe Gross, who will speak here today. And I'll ask you, either can use this microphone or this one, but we are recording, so.
Thank you, Judge.
you prefer to use this? Okay, thanks.
I like to move. I'm a prosecutor, so I'm constantly moving around the courtroom, so I'm used to that, and I use my hands a lot. As Judge Russo said, I actually still currently serve in the United States Air Force. Most recently, I was the Area Defense Counsel, the very first Area Defense Counselor for the Ohio Air National Guard. So what that means is I had the opportunity to develop the program to go forward to represent individual members who are accused of misconduct. I did that for 2 years, and of all of the positions I've held in the military as a JAG officer, that was hands down the most rewarding. And it's the most rewarding because I see the change that people can make, and I also see the potential. And in the event that somebody has been accused of misconduct, we are not defined by the worst thing we've ever done. That is not who we are. Yet, when somebody in the military is up in front of a board or a court-martial, very often that's how they're defined, right? And so I often see, as a prosecutor, we've got people in front of us who have committed offenses. And I will tell you, as you guys have gone through this program and have received the treatment that you have needed, you are far more than the crimes you have committed. You are far more than the worst thing you've ever done. So really quickly, I want to talk to you about the Veterans Legal Services Clinic that my team had an opportunity to create in 2020. As a member of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association's Leadership Academy, we put together an opportunity seeing the need for civil legal services for our nation's veterans. And these are services that could, as members of the Veterans Treatment Court, have prevented you all from succeeding in court. So what are they? Maybe traffic warrants, maybe issues with housing, and you need somebody to represent you in an eviction. Maybe you're going through the disability process through the VA, and you simply cannot decipher the mountain of information that you have to go through for the VA, or the hurdles that you have to jump through. So we created this clinic as an opportunity for you to contact the Bar Association and let them know your needs. And then your case would be assigned out to an attorney in the area who is willing to do that work for free or for a low cost that is affordable to you. And so we see the need every day for civil legal services, and this was one way that attorneys in the area could find to give back to you guys. And I'm very, very proud to have had the opportunity to be on the team that created that. Now, what I really want to talk to you about is recognizing how strong each of you is to have overcome the hardships you have faced to get here. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of Louis Zamparini. Any of you ever heard of Louis Zamparini? So Louis Zamparini is the subject of this book right here. It's called Unbroken by Lauren Hildenbrand, and it chronicles the life of a World War II veteran named Louis Zamparini. And in any account, Mr. Zamparini's life was simply incredible. And at times, I picked this book up in 2012. I was actually up in Alpena, Michigan at the Air National Guard Reserve Training Center. And when we were done for the day, there's absolutely nothing to do in Alpena, Michigan. And so I went back to our dorms at the end of the night and sat on my bed, and I devoured this book. It is not my genre. I am not a World War II reader, but it is simply amazing what this person went through. So Louis Zamparini was the troublemaker of Torrance, California. He was the son of immigrants. He would steal food and then run like hell, and dreamed of one day hopping on a train and just getting out of there. One day, the neighborhood bullies beat him up pretty badly. So his dad took him in and said, listen, this isn't going to happen to you again. I'm going to teach you how to box. So he trained. He trained every single day. His dad actually made him weights out of cans, so heavy cans and sticks, and he trained by lifting those weights. And one day, he came back and encountered the same guys who jumped him, and he got them back. So Louis' success emboldened him, and he went on and kind of formed this little group with the neighborhood tough guys. And they caused all kinds of problems in the community. Some were comical, and others were more serious. He hit a teacher. He threw tomatoes at the local police officer. He rang church bells in the middle of the night, and he stole liquor from the local bootleggers because they weren't going to report him, or else they'd get in trouble for being bootleggers. But Louis's energy needed an outlet. He hated being a troublemaker for his parents. It really caused him grief because he recognized, probably much like you all, that he had a phenomenal support system. He had people that loved him dearly and didn't want to see him do this to himself. So even though he had the facade, the appearance that he was a tough guy, it was making him miserable. And so one thing that I want you to take away as you journey through this process that you have made, obviously with addiction and mental health struggles, you just don't get up from your worst point, right? It's hard. You make small steps, and each of those small steps builds on one another to become one of your greatest achievements, and that's why you're all sitting here today. So that negative energy needs an outlet. Or if you have positive energy and feel like you need to spread it with the world, you need to find your outlet so that you don't go back to that lowest place that you've ever been. So what did Louis do? Louis's older brother, Pete, wanted to get him out of this hole that he dug for himself, and Pete got him into running. And at first, Louis was simply not disciplined. He still smoked, ran sporadically. His training regimen was pretty abysmal. But he realized that he could have success if he really put his mind to it. So he turned his running from police and the people that he has wronged into a love of track and field, and actually began training for the 1936 Olympic teams with the goal in mind that he was going to beat the 4-minute mile. So Louis Zamparini trained. He ran stairs. He ran everywhere he needed to go. He ran to the beach. He ran to the store. This was simply his training regimen. Again, nothing big. It may not be a big deal to run to the store, right? But it was a small step that built on for his greater achievement. So he ultimately quit smoking. He stayed underwater and tested how long he could stay there so that he could strengthen his lungs. And during a college race, a runner from the other team, they boxed Louis in. There were a few on either side of him, and then one of the other team members put their cleat back and dug into Louis's leg, and the gash started bleeding. And so Louis could have limped off of the track at that point, defeated, but he didn't. Louis realized that the point he wanted to quit most, that was the point he needed to push himself and go on. And so that's something that I want you all to remember as well. When you feel that you are at your lowest low, when you feel like you have so many things that you simply cannot push through, that's exactly the time that you need to summon all of your power, willpower up and push through. So self-discipline is the most effective tool that you can have. But Louis' career in running was put on hold. He actually ran the 1936 Olympics, so we'll start there. He did run. Just a little finishing of the story here. He ran, and he was like dead last until the last lap. And he realized at that point that is when he needed to push through most, and came in 8th. And apparently his last lap was so impressive that Hitler himself wanted to meet this American phenom who was able to beat all the other runners in the last lap. But World War II had broken out, and so Louis's running career was put on hold, and he enlisted in the Army Air Corps, so the precursor to my service alma mater. And he joined as a bombardier. So Louis was assigned to the Superman in World War II. And the Superman was over the Pacific Ocean when it encountered a Japanese fighter jet that riddled his plane with over 500 bullet holes. So 500 bullet holes, one would think that he'd be crashed into the Pacific, but they managed to land the plane safely. So they landed the plane safely, and then they were picked up by the Green Hornet. No joke. So we've got Superman down, and the Green Hornet swoops in to rescue them. And the Green Hornet was also shot down, this time over the Pacific. So Louis and 2 other crew members survived the crash. It was Phil, the pilot, and Mac, another member. They sat on this raft for 47 days. Mac, unfortunately, succumbed to the elements and to madness, essentially. Mac kind of went crazy, having hallucinations, having drifted out in sea for that long. But Louis remembered a time when one of his college professors said that your brain will essentially atrophy if it's not used. So if you don't lose your brain, you essentially lose some of your brain function, right? So Louis kind of turned his time on the raft into a daily quiz show where he would pose questions to Mac and Phil, and then they would talk about their dreams for the future. They would talk about what they would do when they got home from the war, and they would talk about marrying their high school sweethearts when they got home from the war. And they held on to that hope while we were there. And Louis ultimately said that Mac succumbed on that raft because he had lost that hope for the future. But that hope for the future is what caused Louis to survive. So that's what I task you guys to do too. Stay true to your plan and your vision for the future. When the past is calling, don't answer it. It doesn't have anything new to say. Know what you want for yourself and live it. Go forward and stay true to that plan. I was a literature major in college, and so I look back at poetry and books and everything. And Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be." So right now, having gone through Veterans Treatment Court, you all have decided to be the successes that you are today. You all have made the decision not to let that worst thing define you. So hold on to that. Hold on to that in your hope for the future. So, as I said before, going back to Louis and Phil gave themselves hope, and they spoke of their dreams and the visions for the future. They survived, but were ultimately captured again by the Japanese and taken to a POW camp, where Louis specifically was subject to inhumane torture at the hands of one of the camp guards they nicknamed him Bird. And he survives despite being persuaded by them. He was punched over 200 times. He was forced to clean a pigsty with his bare hands. He was also forced to nurse this goat who was near death back to health, and was threatened that if he did not make sure that this goat lived, he would be subject to another more severe beating. And unfortunately, overnight, the temperatures dipped into the freezing, and the goat, who was already ill, froze to death. So the next day, Louis was taken out into the open and forced to hold a 4x6 plank of lumber over his head, and if he dropped it, then he would not live. He threatened to kill him. Instead, Louis said, for the first 3 minutes, I didn't think I could do it. I thought my arm was going to break down. I thought I was going to drop it. But instead, after that 3 minutes, he pulled that hope of getting home to his family and pulled the hope that one day he would be able to go back after the war was over. And he stood there for 45 minutes holding this plank of wood. And while some of you may think that is absolutely incredible, it is, but it's absolutely true. This enraged bird, who then punched him in the stomach so hard that it kind of blew Louis backwards, and the plank fell on Louis's head, knocking him out cold, where he was subjected to additional torture while he was on the ground. Louis was ultimately rescued from the prisoner of war camp. And one of the things that allowed him to basically keep his sanity through this whole ordeal, through this worst time of his life, was chronicling in a journal that he made from rice paste. He would pilfer some of the rice that they fed him and mash it into a paste and then create a rice paper out of it, where he kept a diary. And he knew that if the diary was found, he would surely be killed. But he was able to focus on the future and keep looking forward to keep his sanity through this. Now, Louis went home, though, and struggled with alcoholism and post-traumatic stress disorder. And I know that when you are in the throes of the worst of your worst, it's sometimes so hard to get out of there. When you have faced death in certain circumstances, if your addiction has been that bad that perhaps you've overdosed, perhaps you've committed this crime because you were addicted that badly. But Louis remembered after he went one day because his wife convinced him to hear this new young preacher come and talk in Los Angeles. And that new young preacher just happened to be Billy Graham. So after hearing Billy Graham speak in Los Angeles, Louis remembered the promise he made to God while he was floating on that lifeboat in the Pacific, that if God just let him survive, he promised he would do whatever he could to help his fellow crewmates and his wife, and he would do whatever God asked him to do at that point. So it was at the time that he heard Billy Graham speak that he decided that he was going to make peace with his past, and he was going to begin to address those problems that arose after his time in the war. So finding his faith enabled him to quit drinking, and he became a motivational speaker. And then he began to forgive. So that's another thing I challenge you guys to do. There's power and peace in forgiveness. And this may not just be about you. It may be for your family members that you've hurt. It may be after time and time and time and time again, you have hurt them in various ways by not showing up, by saying that you were going to do something that you ultimately didn't do, by taking something that's very dear and valued to them. Louis once heard from a child of a World War II vet. And that child wrote Louis a letter later in life, and he said, "I wish my dad was still around. I hated him growing up. He came home from the war as an alcoholic. I could not stand being around him, but now I forgive him. And I wish I could tell him that to this day." So there is so much power in forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't just help the forgiven, right? It's a healing tool. So Louis ultimately forgave Bird. In fact, he tried to make an arrangement to go to Japan and meet with Bird to let him know that he forgave him for the torture that he had to endure. Bird ultimately refused, but Louis carried, in 1998, he carried the Olympic torch past not so, where in Japan, where he was once imprisoned. And he finally was able at that point in time, once he realized that Bird didn't want to talk to him, he was able to put that past behind him. So one of the last things that I want to leave you with is something that Louis said. Louis said, "I think the hardest thing in life is to forgive. Hate is self-destructive. Just like if you hate yourself because of who you've become, it does nothing for you. If you hate somebody, you're not hurting the person you hate, you're hurting yourself. It's a healing, actually. It's a real healing, forgiveness." So I am so proud of all of the work that you guys have put in today, over the past year or so to even get to this point today. And I look forward to hearing continued success stories from all of you in the future. Thank you. Something I want to, sorry, Joe. One thing I wanted to, all of us struggles with self-doubt, right? Even when we feel like we can't do it anymore, find something that makes you be in a more positive place. Find something that dispels that self-doubt. And for me, I have this little reminder on my planner that says, never forget how wildly capable you are. And so all of you too, having gone through everything that you've gone through, are wildly capable.
Thank you. That was quite inspirational. Welcome. I was thrilled that Judge Russo asked me to speak to you. I am the former president of the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association and welcome this court to our great facility. And I'm glad to meet some of you who have graduated the court and glad to be able to give some brief comments today to help you celebrate your graduation. I'm a big supporter of the Veterans Treatment Court and the specialty docket that gives you the opportunity, or some of you, the opportunity to succeed and graduate like you are today. It's great that we as Americans and a community can offer you the opportunity to pay your debts and to voluntarily put yourself in a place that's good for all of us. All of you have volunteered at one point in time, or maybe drafted like people in my generation, to put yourself in harm's way. And that doesn't mean that all of you were facing bullets, but you all volunteered to do that, or some of you in the Navy put yourselves on ships in the middle of the ocean where there's no place to hide. We all know that. So whether you carried arms, like those of you in the Army, or went to sea, or if you worked on computers or on cars or worked in the mess hall, or you were an officer and led troops or sailors or Marines, or you were one of those who took the orders, you all came back. Some of you came back with missing body parts, and all of you had the chance to come back with missing body parts or not come back at all. And that's something that we all live with. Maybe you came back with something that's missing that's not a body part. Many of you came back with psychological conditions that we didn't know that we could suffer from back when I was in, necessarily. Maybe it's just a bad habit. Maybe we came back with habits that we learned, maybe from people who maybe we should have been someplace else. I was in the Navy, as Judge Russo said. I got out about 48 years ago. I joined more than 50 years ago, in 4 years. I served during the Vietnam War. And when I got out, the reception to something like this wasn't even close. So there are people who love you for who you were and who you are and who you will be. And I'm one of those. I know what it took. And I know the brotherhood that we all had with people from all parts of the country, with people who didn't think like us, but yet we gelled, and not only did we gel, we died for each other back in the day. And we had a brotherhood, and we did that without question. And today, I feel a little differently. After I got out, we wouldn't have had something like this. But I feel like a patriot today. I feel like a patriot standing here talking to you as patriots of this country and who have a chance to be who you want to be. I got the advantage on most of you on the age front, and you do learn something by getting older. But, the society that we're in now is very accommodating to veterans, more so than ever. I know and that's part of society. The one thing that I wanted to let you know is that people love you and that you connect with other veterans, and that's something that you will always have wherever you go, whatever you decide to do. One of the things that our bar association does is have like legal aid clinics where we go to libraries or maybe a hospital and help people who just need a little bit of legal advice in the civil front. And the biggest thrill for me is coming in and having a veteran, maybe a contemporary of mine, who needs legal help, and the connection is there. I mean, right here, right now, I feel connected with those of you who graduated today. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. You will have that at the right opportunities as well. Because you were there for me when it mattered. I was there for my buddies when it mattered to them. And that kind of connection doesn't leave us. And I would ask you to look within your souls to find that, if you can't feel it already, because it is part of us as veterans. And it's real easy for me to ask a veteran to help me, and it's real easy for me to help a veteran who asks me to help too. When I grew up, I grew up in Kansas City, not in Cleveland. And Kansas City is the one city that is the farthest place from any ocean, so that's why I joined the Navy. And because I never saw the ocean by the time I joined the Navy. And then, and you guys will understand, they said, "Do you want to be a SEAL?" And I go, "Yeah!" All right, so I wasn't always that smart. And then the Navy, being smarter than me, knew that I could do 50 push-ups at that point, but I became a linguist, a Chinese linguist, and I supported the Vietnam War in that regard, doing the things that I probably can't talk to you about today, but I felt good supporting our war effort and doing what I could for the job that was assigned to me to help our troops who were in harm's way. I was never personally in harm's way, ordered to do so, but that got canceled. But afterwards, when I was in the service, I had the opportunity to go to school, like many of you did, And I learned that I wanted to be an engineer, so I got out and became an engineer, worked over at the steel company or other steel companies, and actually worked at LTV Steel when it was still LTV Steel. And then I became a lawyer later in life and did pretty well. I do labor and employment now, so I help people or companies with their labor and employment issues. And now I've been given the opportunity to be the lawyer for my law firm. I'm the general counsel of our law firm. And, you know, I started out as a petty officer, so that's who I still am in many regards. And as Judge Russo mentioned, I was the president of the Bar Association and had the immense luck to help Major Anderson, Stephanie, get this program on the Veterans Legal Services Clinics going. And I told Becky Rupert McMahon, who is our CEO of the Bar Association, that's the one program that's going to be my legacy, to be able to help you. And Judge Russo and Stephanie, last year at this time, we gave a Veterans Day program talking about the promise of the Veterans Legal Services Clinic. And so, as a Bar Association, I'm so thrilled that we can collectively, as a group of lawyers, give back to our veterans and others. This Bar Association has been giving, because we have an obligation to give as lawyers, to the kids in Cleveland and East Cleveland. We help them out in their civics classes. We help them go to college. We help them go to law school. And we help them succeed. And it's one of the greatest things that we do as our Bar Association. We do other things for the community. We have lots of pro bono, meaning free, things that we do for the community. And now the fact that we're giving lawyers training now to help veterans with the kinds of things that they need to deal with the VA, with their military branch, with the military things that they have, and just in life, in the civil side. It just gives me great pleasure to be able to do that. Our firm, we started a veterans group in our firm. We have a few veterans, and we've decided to have our firm, our full firm, we got like 500 lawyers. We're going to give back to the No Man Left Behind organization to help those of us who weren't able to come back and help their families deal with their spouse's ultimate sacrifice. So what's that got to do with you? That's about me. Well, I feel real good about helping other veterans, and I think you would too. It's a brotherhood that we all have, or a sisterhood. You've worked hard to take advantage of the opportunities that Judge Russo and this court and this team gave to you. You succeeded. I think you can help other veterans succeed too. So given the opportunity, or look for the opportunity, to help others, it makes you feel good, makes you feel valuable. And you know, and it can be in anything. It could be a chat. It can be a financial contribution. It depends what charity you want to support. I'm real glad to doing that. I'm glad to be able to help this court. I'm committed to doing that. And I see friends here who are doing that. So let me sign off by saying congratulations to all of you who are graduating today. I wish you all the best in whatever you decide to do, in making tomorrow better for yourselves, for your loved ones, and for our community. God bless you, and God bless America.
Okay, so we're going to go on with graduation. So a couple things I'll note for everybody. One of the opportunities that we have in our Veterans Treatment Court, and that is also part of the Common Pleas Court, some cases that come into our court have the ability of the case, when someone completes probation, to have the case dismissed and expunged off their record. So case comes in, dismissed, and expunged off the record. That is pretty exciting that we get to have that opportunity. And so we have 4 candidates today. And in order to do that, I have to do it on the record like I'm in the courtroom. So that's why Carla's here today, who's our court reporter. So she's going to take down the doing. So I would like to do that first. And so I'm going to call those members up first to have them come up. And I'm going to call them by their case numbers. And then when we call them up, I'll have all of them come up and stand just right up front. So Dwayne Butler, Bruce Elder, Ryan Schaefer, and Brandon Stewart. So if I can have all of you come on up. Come on, I know you're in the room. Right here. And you could face the group today. I have our public defender. Did I call those names right? Because he's looking at me. Dwayne Butler. Yep, he's on Zoom right now. Dwayne, you better be standing right now. And I'm going to bring up my public defender. So Francis Arenzi, who's from the public defender's office. And we're going to use microphones because it's being recorded. Miss Anderson's going to fill in for our prosecutors because we need a prosecutor here as well. So she's going to fill in for Warren Griffin, who's in trial and unable to be here. So you would imagine if we're in the courtroom, I'm going to call today's hearing. So we're going to go on the record here this afternoon on 4 cases for the docket. And yes, she is taking down everything that's being said. It's pretty amazing, our court reporters. Case number 648402 is the State of Ohio versus Brandon Stewart. Case number 653589, State of Ohio versus Ryan Schaefer. Case number 648884, State of Ohio versus Bruce Elder. And case number 648425, State of Ohio versus Dwayne Butler. On behalf of each of those who are present here today, 1 by Zoom and 3 here in the courtroom at the CMBA, I'll hear from our public defender, Mr. Francis Arenzi, who also served this country as well. Francis, in the Air Force?
Army.
In the Army, I apologize. I'm in trouble there. In the Gulf War. So I'll hear from our public defender.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Those that you mentioned were all participants in the ILC program. And because they've all successfully completed at this time, Your Honor, we're going to be requesting that their cases are dismissed and also have their records sealed at this time. Thank you.
All right, a motion being made. I'll hear from the State of Ohio. Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, Your Honor. All of these individuals have completed the intervention in lieu of conviction program, thus, and pursuant to revised code section 2951.041E, the State of Ohio does not object to the dismissal and sealing of the record.
Having no objection, at this time, I'm going to order that the cases for these 4 cases be dismissed and that each of their records be expunged today and sealed. Congratulations. We'll give them a round of applause. Yeah. All right, gentlemen, you can be seated, and then we're going to call each of you up. So what I'm going to do to make things flow, because we're not in a courtroom, I'm going to ask our 2 probation officers, so Stephanie Gilliams and Ryan Murphy, to come on up here to the right of me. I'm also going to have Miss Timmons from the Veterans, the VA, come on up. And Mr. Menke, who is going to get called up as well from TASC. So if you would just imagine our 2 probation officers and then direct link to the VA and direct link to services with TASC, part of our team. So each of our veterans, whether they are service connected or not, we have a probation officer who served our country. And then we have our services that are also connected. So what I'm going to do is call each of our vets up. They are presented with a Veterans Treatment Court graduation certificate and a coin that will be handed to them from their probation officer and give them an opportunity to accept the coin and graduation certificate. We will have our graduates come to the podium and speak if they want to. So not everybody is wanting to, but if they do, they can come up and share some words. So if you're going to come up and speak, we'll kind of do it this way. Those who are going to speak, I'll have you come to the microphone. Those of you to my right who are going to speak, I'm going to give them the microphone. So I'm going to kind of step out of the process other than calling up names. again, I say this to all you graduates. I'm obviously real excited to see some of you and the smiles that I'm getting from some of you. I have a special liking to Miss Sosa, who was on my docket, and we've had some struggles, and we'll talk about that. But so I'm very excited. So lastly, the judges refer someone to us. So I just want to thank these judges, and they're not here, but I think it's important. Judge Dan Gall, Judge Philip Calabrese, Judge Kelly Ann Gallagher, Judge Deborah Turner, Judge Stephen Gall, and myself. All of us had an opportunity to have one of you come off of their docket and come through our program successfully. So with that being said, I'm going to kind of jump around, but I'm going to do Mr. Butler first. So Mr. Butler is not here. He is by Zoom, and I want to be able to let at least those that would want to speak about him so you could hear Mr. Butler. So we're going to celebrate you first.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Butler, I've known Mr. Butler throughout the beginning of the pandemic all the way through 2021. He's an individual that took the initiative and hit the ground running with employment, with his treatment, things of that nature. So again, congratulations to Mr. Butler. I know he has some plans for when he is released from the program, and I'm happy. I hate to see him go because we have good conversations, but I know he has to move on in his life, and I appreciate the fact that he's willing to do what it takes to complete the program. So again, congratulations.
All right, thank you. And then we'll hear from a provider too. Ms. Timmett, just anything you'd like to say?
Yes, I'd like to say congratulations to Mr. Butler. He was one who was always doing the right things and in the right place at the right time. Whenever I checked and rechecked. And so all the best to you, Mr. Butler.
All right, congratulations. All right, so we'll go maybe a little out of order. And so all you gentlemen, and I think we're going to go off the record. So you're good if you're going to stay the whole time with us too. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to call Miss Sosa just because she came from my docket as well. So I will just say, Danielle, come on up. I'll let you stand over in front of everyone first so they get a chance to meet you. So, you know, Danielle was very close to graduation on a prior date. I think we have duplicates for you, but I kept yours in your folder because we had expectation that she was going to graduate a while back. And then she had a slip up. And again, some of the things that Miss Anderson spoke of, right? You have a slip, and then you realize, wait, I'm a better person than this. Where do I want to go? Now, I know your dad wants you to go somewhere to Panama. We're not sure that you want to go, but Dad has a restaurant, and he wants her to come to Panama and help with the restaurant. I said, if she goes, I want to at least come and visit, so I get a chance to come visit with her as well. But I am just so excited that you're here today, successfully graduating. So congratulations. I'll let you come up here. We'll hear from probation officers and treatment providers, and then if you want to speak, we'll let you come up. So congratulations.
Miss Sosa, 2018? 2018, she's been in Veterans Treatment Course since 2018, since we were at the Marion building. I probably can safely say that at first she couldn't stand me. I think she thought I was trying to set her up. We've had a lot of lows, and then eventually, I don't know what happened, I'll let her tell you. She came around and saw, you know what? You know, they actually are trying to help me. They actually are trying to help me. And from the very beginning, that's all I ever wanted was for you to get to this point right here and to see all of the things that you went through and have been through with, you know, people passing away in your life, but then you still stayed with us and you kept going. And to see you finally at this point, I couldn't be happier. This is really all we ever wanted for you. It's been a pleasure. It really has. Not in the beginning, but now. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Timmons? Well, for those of you, Mr. Menke just joined us, and so I don't think you'll have anything to add. Otherwise, I'll put you on the spot and make you feel uncomfortable. We don't want to do that. If you want to speak, make sure you get in that microphone. Tell us what you think.
I do. I just want to say thank you so much to the whole team just for never giving up on me and showing me that there really is a better way to life. I mean, to live. And I want to thank my sponsor too. She's been amazing. I wouldn't be where I am today without her. I wouldn't be where I am today without you guys either. Just so thank you so much for never giving up on me. It was a struggle, but it really is such a better life and a better way to live, and I wouldn't be where I am today without you guys and her. So thank you.
All right, congratulations. So that's an extra one I kept. Yeah. All right. So now we're going to go at Dwayne Bradley. So Mr. Bradley, come on up. So Mr. Bradley served our country in the Navy, and so we'll hear from, again, a probation officer and a provider. So we'll hear some comments from each. Thank you.
So, Mr. Bradley, so when I first came into Veterans Treatment Court as a probation officer, I remember Mr. Bradley on my caseload, but the ironic thing is, I never saw Mr. Bradley. He has his own story for that. So when we first started to meet, you know, as he would probably tell you, he and I didn't have issues, but we just had to connect. And through that connection, I saw a turnaround in Mr. Bradley that is amazing. I mean, he figured out on his own what he needs to do, what he needs to do, where he wants to go, and from there, I mean, he took the initiative once again and just ran with it. And so I really appreciate the fact that you took advantage of this program and understood that, you know, again, we're not here for punishment. It's about treatment. It's about helping. It's about doing those small things to help you out. And, you know, you understood too that sometimes Mr. Bradley would call me on the weekends and, you know, to some I shouldn't answer the phone, but it's Mr. Bradley calling, so of course I would answer. So again, congratulations, Mr. Bradley, on all that you've done and all that you will continue to do. And, you know, if you ever need to talk to somebody, you know, I'm still here for you. Congratulations.
Mr. Bradley, congratulations on behalf of the VA, and I really appreciate you and the path that you're on, your commitment to your sobriety, to your recovery. All the best to you.
Mr. Bradley, do you want to speak?
Yeah, I should.
Come on. They always say no at first. Anything, again, anything you'd like to share?
I just got a few words to say. Like Mr. Murphy said, I wasn't, I didn't meet him when I first started this program because I was on the run. But I can't remember her name, the first recipient, but like she said, there was a moment when I came to the realization that these people weren't in this to hurt me. They were actually trying to help me. And when I came to that realization that Mr. Murphy was really, had my best interests at heart. So I just came to some, what they call that moment of clarity. And I, from that moment on, God entered my heart, and I just, hit the ground running. And from then on, haven't looked back and will not look back again. I just want to thank the team. Judge Russo has been just a great person. I mean, he isn't even the judge to me sometimes because he's just so down to earth. And I want to thank you for accepting me in this program. Right. Thank you.
You know, for some of you who don't know, so we have a coin. Judge Jackson decided to have a coin that we hand off. And so you'll see that each of the probation officers, when they graduate, have it in their hand, and we'll shake hands with the graduate and transfer the coin. The coin says on the back, I can, we can. and then it has the branches of government or branches of service on the front of the coin as well. And it's our way of transitioning from graduation back into the community, knowing that I can and that we can. So just a little notation about what we're giving each of the graduates. So our next graduate is Bruce Elder. Again, Bruce from the Navy. Bruce, come on up. Congratulations. Yeah.
Mr. Elder, and there's actually another person that I'll speak about later, was the embodiment of coming into this program, taking full advantage of it, keeping his head down, and forging right ahead. He struggled there in the beginning, got him over to a place where he was stable. He's still there now, TR House, got a job temporarily, was just hired on permanently last week with a pay increase. Is looking forward to getting his own housing. And for anybody who haven't seen Mr. Elder when he first came into the program, hope I don't embarrass you, but he looks amazing. When I tell you that he has, I don't know how much weight he's lost, but he looks absolutely amazing. I almost walked by him at the VA and didn't know who he was. And he is just looking forward to continuing living a long, sober, healthy life. And I couldn't be more proud. Thank you for making my job easy. I appreciate you. And again, like I tell everybody, I will never take your number out of my phone. So if you need me, if you need any of us, we're here for you.
Let's see if Ms. Timmons has something, and then come on up.
Mr. Elder has taken full advantage of the programs and services available to him at the VA. We are so proud of you. We continue to support you, and all the best to you.
Yes, come on. You want to say something, Bruce?
I just want to say thank you for everybody that's been a part of this. Y'all have been awesome. Judge, my PO, everybody. I couldn't be here without y'all. Friends, family. I mean, it's been amazing. And once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm not done yet.
Yes. So when Bruce says he's not done yet, just so all of you know, we take any of our vets back that may want to be mentors, they'll join our program, go through some training, and we have many mentors who are here. Real quickly, so mentors have a relationship with our vets while they're going through the program, and it's a personal relationship that I and the team have nothing to do with. We never once will ever ask a mentor to get up and tell us what's going on or what's bad or what's good. We never get ourselves involved with a mentor's relationship with one of our vet. And we think that's important because it builds a relationship for the treatment program, but outside of the treatment program as well. So some of our team who stood up are our mentors. And again, without individually pointing them out, they're part of the team and part of that safety net as well. That being said, they always say, Frank Visnall, well, let's see, his last name was with a V, so he's going to be last, right? So I'm not that way in my courtroom. I always like to throw it around a little bit different. So I'm going to go with Mr. Visnall to have him come up, and we could celebrate Frank as well. So Frank, come on up. I know you were thinking you were going to be last, but that's not going to happen. And Frank joins us from the Marines. So come on up.
Hey.
I'll let you stand up here.
Mr. Visnall, my goodness, along with Bruce Elder, just that MOVE program at the VA got us looking good, doesn't it? He is, I hardly get to see Mr. Visnall these days because Judge Russo and the team have allowed him to make money by being an over-the-road truck driver. So he's been on the road for the last 5 months. But whenever he's in town, he calls Ms. Gilliam, you want me to go to the lab? I can go to the lab. Ms. Gilliams, I'm at the VA, I'm in town. And he always, even on the road, he kept in contact. And he assured us that if we gave him this opportunity to be on the road, that he was going to do the right thing, and he stuck by his word, and he absolutely did the right thing. Mr. Visnoff, thank you so very much. I appreciate you. I appreciate, in the beginning you did struggle, but you didn't let that stop you from completing this program. And I know that you're only going to do great things from here and probably be getting back on the road, tomorrow? Mm-hmm.
That was kind of great during our sessions. He would pull over somewhere in some state and be sitting in his truck or in his cab and get a chance to dialogue with him. And you are, again, you look fantastic. You look great from the program as well. So how about we hear from Danielle?
Can I just say this is my first time meeting Mr. Visnoff in person because he's been on the road. But every report that I've completed on him has been positive. I've been so impressed by his ability to maintain all of his requirements and do everything that has been asked of him. It's just been so impressive. So it says a lot about your commitment and all the work that you put in today, and I'm so glad it's paid off. Congratulations.
Well, thank you for the whole team. I have a huge team, and I didn't realize that at first. I thought they were all against me. And when I realized it was a team that was on my side, that's when I made the transition. And that includes Miss Gilliams. I thought she was setting me up at first, please, but it wasn't the case. And I have mentors, Mr. Harry Whalen. I have people from Head Bash, Bark. It's just amazing. The VA is not my grandfather's VA. I can tell you that right now. And this program here has put me in touch with all those different places and different things in my life that has actually changed my life now. And I want to thank you all for what you do, and please continue to do it, because I won't be the last veteran out there that needs help.
Mr. Schaefer, Ryan, come on up. Ryan served our country in the Army, so thank you. And
He might still actually be.
Still,
I think he's still in the National Guard.
in the reserve.
Reserves. I'm sorry, reserves. I'm so sorry. Mr. Schaefer, I swear every time I see him, he has a different look. Just I don't know what it is. It's the mustache. Is it the mustache? But Mr. Schaefer, he came here into this program, and when I tell you, he kept his head down and just moved right along, no matter what obstacles that were that popped up in his way. Like I think he had a union job, ended up getting laid off from that by no fault of his own, but already had a job lined up like the next day. I think he's a manager somewhere, and he just. But that's what we do. That's what we do as veterans. We don't let anything stop us. We move right along. Plan A fails, we move to Plan B. Plan B fails, we move to Plan C. That's just what we do. But thank you, Mr. Schaefer, for coming into this program, taking advantage of it, and again, making my job easy. Thank you. I'm sure your wife there has been a very big support. Thank you, ma'am, for your support. And I just look forward to everything that you're going to do in the future.
Congratulations, Mr. Schaefer. This is our first time meeting in person. He's always been on Zoom, but he's always been doing exactly what he needs to do. So continue, keep up the good work, and all the best to you.
That's right.
So just kind of like everybody else, I want to thank the team. It was a great help, just having them on our side and just kind of coaching you through, walking you through, and getting you through it. And then also to my wife, she kind of lit the flame under my butt for the things that needed to be done, help get them done. And, they might think it was all me, but it's really her too. So thank you again, Judge Russo, Ms. Gilliams, Ms. Timmons. Thank you, and I appreciate it.
All right, last but not least, Mr. Stewart, come on up. Again, Mr. Stewart, he has served our country in the Army, and of course he's going to have his case expunged today when we're done. So,
So, Mr. Stewart, I appreciate the fact that, you know, you came into this program again during the pandemic, and there was a lot of things going on in your life, you know, personal and things like that.
Well, they need it because it's live. So just see if it's on you. Come on up here, Rye, if you don't mind. Just while we're still streaming live.
I was saying that during the pandemic, Mr. Stewart, you know, has a lot of obstacles going on in his life with, you know, family, legal, things like that. But yet and still, he still continued to work the program, work his plan, continue to stay employed. So I really appreciate the fact that you continue to charge up the hill.
Not too long ago, we had a conversation about some of the things he needed to do, and I was prepared for some excuses, but he made none. He just looked at me, he's asked me what he needed to do, I told him what he needed to do, and he did it. And so I'm so proud of you, I'm so hopeful for you, and all the best to you. Congratulations.
Successful, you remember? No, you're not. Come on.
I've never been really one to ask for help from anybody. I just, you know, just try to kind of ride the wave until it's over with. I can say that going through this program, I realized that we all just unfinished books. Each chapter is a year, and this is definitely going to be one that I'm going to remember and take with me. And it's good to know that if I do need assistance, I do have a great team behind me. And with everything that I am going through, you know, it really makes an impact on my life, knowing that you have support, because support is really vital, especially when you feel like you have none. So I do just want to say thank you.
All right, again, thank you all for being here, coming up and sharing with us. You know, just two things, and then I'm going to turn it over to the boss behind me here, or to the right of me. You know, that's the comment being made, Mr. Stewart, too, is we don't go away, right? So when you leave, Stephanie and Ryan's numbers don't change. And I even know that, you know, those phone numbers are always available, and there's times where I'll hear from Ryan and Stephanie saying, oh, so-and-so called me and they're in a good place, or they're not in a good place and we needed to get them to a good place. So please remember that too. Mentoring, hey, you know, if you're interested in that, you talk to Stephanie and Ryan and they'll get you over to Mr. Gray, and we'll make sure we can get you that opportunity if it exists for you as well. Lastly, before I turn the microphone over, some people will not want to stand up, but they've been recognized. So people who are here on behalf of somebody, the significant others, I'm going to just ask you to stand. No introduction other than we want to thank you for being there as well. So family members, loved ones, sponsors who are here, we want to thank you. So thank you. All right, thank you for being here. All right, with that being said, I want to thank everyone. It's important for us to do this, to celebrate, and we thank you for joining us to celebrate. I know that we'll have a couple comments before you can grab some dessert over there as well. Looks like the cake's already cut, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's it. All right, thank you.
Cake's ready. I won't be long, but thank you all for coming out. And again, on behalf of Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court, Judge John Russo, we want to thank the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association for hosting this special ceremony. And to you all, thank you for coming out, supporting your families, and for the supporting event. And also Veterans Week, thank you again, and we greatly appreciate you. Thank you.